competitive. It was a challenge for you. I'm sure other schools are coming after them off the men money. How big a challenge was that, and what does that say about those guys?
It says a lot about our guys. 7 guys from Ohio and 19 guys here. I mean, these are guys who want to be Buckeyes. They know the opportunity here, and there's a lot that comes with deciding on where to go to a school. A lot of these guys did it for the right reasons. What I mean by that is like focusing on the things that truly matter in this case. And what are those things? First off, it's the development at Ohio State. It's the ability to come in and get unbelievable education. It's being a part of a program that's going to be in the national championship hunt every year, but also part of an unbelievable culture, the city of Columbus. There's just so many things that come with being a Buckeye that these guys recognize early on. And it's about relationships, and I think our coaching staff did an unbelievable job of building relationships throughout this process. Because this year was a unique season. It's going to be a whole nother unique recruiting cycle next year, and every year it changes. This year certainly there's been a lot of changes, but in the end it comes down to relationships, and our guys did a great job of that.
Second row, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Whether it's Lincoln this year, Devin last year, and CJ was kind of the same concept. These guys that you maybe have to go back and get later on in the process, and you're not always, there's not always guaranteed to be someone who pops up who's maybe Ohio State caliber. Has that maybe at all changed your guys' philosophy and how you guys maybe attack quarterback and maybe waiting a little bit and not going after a guy as early?
I think it's a great question. It's something we always look at. When is the right time to go on quarterbacks? Is it early in the process? Is it late? There's certainly some great positives to jumping on somebody early, and you identify who that person is early on. But when you get on somebody late like Lincoln, you get to recognize what they did their senior year. Same thing with CJ. Same thing with Devin. And you get 4 years of work there. And I think in their situation, that's worked out really well for us. But there's also been times where we've recruited Kyle and guys early on in the process, and that works too. So everybody has their own journey, but it's something that we always look at to try to evaluate what gives us the best chance of choosing the best guy for Ohio State and allowing them to choose Ohio State on their own.
I know there's an impact if you get a guy in early. Sometimes you can build the thoughts around it, but I don't know, is there an impact the other way when a guy doesn't necessarily work out? You have to kind of change gears a little bit?
That's part of the recruiting process now, yeah. It's just being able to pivot and react and really you focus on the guys that ultimately sign. That's it. There's just a lot of twists and turns along the way, a lot of emotional roller coasters, but in the end, it's like, okay, who are the guys you bring in? And I think when you look at this list of 19 guys, I don't know what rankings or anything like that, but I know if you take, the quality of each guy, it's got to be up there as one of the top ones in the country.
Just one more. Are you expecting anybody else to sign?
Yeah. I mean, this is the early signing period. It's 12:30 here, so there's still a lot going on. There's a long way to February too.
Right behind him, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Ryan, I think you guys have had 5 players just between classes decommit since the summer. Does that number concern you, and what do you maybe look at as maybe reasons why there's been a couple more decommitments this year than the past?
I just think it's kind of the way of the world right now. Some guys decommit 2 and 3 times before they actually sign nowadays, and I would say if it was 10 years ago, yeah, I'd probably be like, what's going on? But right now, it's we've had some guys that come change commitments from another school to our school. It's just I remember a time when once somebody committed, everybody just stopped recruiting them. That doesn't change anything anymore. So with early recruiting, with all the different things that are out there right now, guys are changing their minds, and we just have to adapt to it and move on. So that just means when they commit that we just keep recruiting them, and it's the same thing with other guys across the country who are committed. They still kind of look around a little bit, and not that I necessarily agree with everything that goes on in that world, but it's the way things are going. It's the trends that are going on across the country, and we just have to adapt.
Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, when we deal with fans and people that read our stuff, there's the side that is Ohio State's lost to Michigan twice in a row, lost some guys, as Dan just mentioned, from classes, this, that, and the other thing, the negative side. Then there's, you went 11-1, you're in the college football playoff, you're close to a national championship on the other side. I'm curious from your perspective, from this building's perspective, how you kind of view things at the moment, because we see things from a different perspective, and if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, we all have certain expectations, we all have goals, and when you don't reach those goals, you have to identify what those things are to get them addressed. But you know, we also, when you go through times like this too, you know, you recognize first off the things you got to get better at, but you also, it gives you a really good idea of, you know, where everybody's at in the program, you know, and kind of where you stand. Because when things are going well, you know, everybody's with you, and when something goes wrong, you kind of find out where people stand. And so, you know, I think we have a pretty good feel for that right now. But I can tell you that the guys in the program have been working their tail off the last month. You know, I think again, when you look at the 19 guys we brought in here, these are some of the best players in the country, and you know, these guys understand what's going on here, and they understand what an unbelievable culture we have here. You know, you see, you know, a lot of you know, transfer going on, everything like that. You look at our team, there's really not a lot of that going on. Why? I think it's because we have a strong culture here. Guys appreciate the way that they're being developed and everything like that, and you know, years and seasons and life doesn't always go the way you plan. It's about how you react to it, how you respond to it, and that's what our focus is on right now. We're not going to overreact as much as you know, that loss hurts. You know, we're not going to you know, overreact on it. You know, it's not worth it. We have a game against Georgia ahead of us that we're focusing on. We're hammering recruiting and looking to adapt to what's going on across the country. And you know, I know that the program's in a great place, even though, you know, we did lose that game and it hurts. I mean, that's our goal every year. You can't walk away from it. But at the end of the day, like, we have some really good people in this program. We have really good talent, really good coaches, and recruit really good people.
Right behind him, Kevin Newton, Buckeye Huddle.
Yeah, Coach, first I want to start off by mentioning Avery Henry went to social media to talk about his medical challenges and just what's going on there. But with your four-man class with Miles, Austin, Luke, and Josh, what do you see there? I mean, what do they bring you as offensive line recruiting is so important every year to the system?
Yeah, I'll start off with Avery. Very difficult time for everybody here. You know, trying to give Avery as much space as we can during this time, but also know that he's got a whole team behind him that's going to help him through this fight. You know, our culture is built on fight. He's in for a fight. This came out of nowhere for him, and his life got rocked. And I told the guys after it happened, you know, things like this give you perspective in life too. You know, and this is the reason why you get into coaching, is to have an impact on young people and help Avery fight this battle. But like we talked about with his family, there's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why you're a Buckeye. And maybe because along the way you needed the James Hospital, you needed Buckeye Nation, you needed this team to help you in this fight, and we're here for you. So he's going to be down there in Atlanta with us, God willing, and you'll still be with the team. That's the hope. And you know, we're just going to be a part of this fight with him. So I know the whole team's behind him. But yeah, going back on the offensive lineman that we recruited this year, I thought Justin did an excellent job. We have 3 offensive linemen here from Ohio and also Miles from Connecticut. I really think all 3 of them have an ability to make an impact right away. You know, these are guys who we've had in camp, we've seen work live. You know, Luke Montgomery, he's going to start tackle. He's kind of been the leader of this class. He's got a great personality. He and his family have been unbelievable during this process, but he's very, very talented. You can see him on the basketball court, the way he moves his feet. He's got toughness and physicality. He could play probably all 5 positions, but we're going to start at tackle. Austin Sayervelt is going to start at guard for us. Very big and strong and powerful guy. You can see when you get up on him, the size of his legs. I think his family said that they can't find him a pair of pants, so either wear sweatpants or shorts. That's how big his thighs are. But he's very, very powerful and big inside, and kind of that road grader you're looking for at guard. Josh Padilla is going to start at center for us. This is a guy whose dad is a wrestling coach. He was a wrestler. Has all the traits you're looking for in a center: the quickness, the ability to leverage, you know, the noses and the guys that he's going to have to go against every day. And he's got a toughness about him. And so you couple that with Miles. You know, Miles, you know, is from Brunswick School out there in Greenwich, Connecticut. And you know, you look at his length, his athleticism, and his size. He's going to start a tackle for us as well. You know, he brings a lot of potential there, and so all 4 of those guys early on, we're excited about. Hopefully, we can get these guys going and make a push.
And a quick follow-up, you guys have been very active in the portal, offering some tackles. I know you can't speak specifically about guys, but is there still that need to to look into the portal and maybe find an impact guy? I mean, especially when we don't know what the future of the tackle position is gonna look like after the season.
Yes, yeah, we're definitely gonna look at that and see the guys who are out there. We're not just gonna, add guys to add guys, but, if it's right for them and it's right for us, certainly gonna look down that road. Yes.
Right next door, Jeremy Birmingham, Rivals.
Ryan, at this point, no running back, no defensive end. Is there a need to expand the overall search in these types of situations? Obviously, Tony and Larry.
Well, we signed, Nickens, right, so,
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were considering him more of an outside edge.
yeah, he'll start defensive.
With Tony and Larry, who are obviously longtime guys, great relationship builders, is there a philosophy shift maybe that like, let's expand the board rather than narrowing in on 2 or 3 guys, and if they don't work out, then you find yourself in this position?
No, I don't think so. I think when you looked at this year at running back, we have a pretty decent, decent depth there. We looked at, Trey and Mayan, and then in a Chip, we're gonna decide if we're gonna move him over full-time or not. Dallin, and then Evan Pryor's been hurt. So, going into the year, we knew we were already kinda with 5 guys there, 4.5 guys. If we had somebody there that we really liked, we were gonna take them. Didn't feel like we needed to, but we're always gonna look to upgrade if we possibly can, or add somebody to the roster that we think can help us. So, it didn't work out for us this year. We certainly had a head start, and then we lost a guy, but and then at the defensive end position, yeah, we felt like we were in a pretty good position with a couple guys. It didn't work out in the end, but we did have a couple, other guys that we're recruiting. Certainly Josh, to add him to the class was great. He's a guy that, he's from Indiana, and he's very athletic, basketball player. We had him in camp. For him to make the decision down the stretch was big for us. We think he can be a very, very good player. And we also like Jason Moore's ability to go inside and outside. He's shown that. He was player of the year in the area there. Had a big time season. So he was important to get. And then Cade McDonald inside, as you know, from North Gwinnett was a big add for us. And we'll keep recruiting. We'll keep seeing what's out there. But we're always going to swing at the best players in the country. And but I'm glad that we have the guys that we have in this class.
When you're talking about best in the country, it's hard to say that without talking about Brandon Ennis, who, since he was a freshman at American Heritage, was talked about by everyone as the next big thing.
Yeah.
Very rare you hear that a lot of freshmen, and then they actually live up to it.
Yeah.
But it seems like outside of Luke, he's also become the guy who's the most vocal leader in this group. Can you just speak on how surprising that was, but also how important he's been in keeping everything moving?
Yeah, I think Brandon. You look at all 4 of these guys. You look at Brandon, Carnell, Noah, and Bryson Rogers. I think all 4 of these guys are going to be really good players for us, and all 4 of them are looking to come in and make an impact. I think Bryson had a big time season this year. His family has ties up here in Ohio, the Warren area. From early on, he jumped on this thing and was a Buckeye all the way. And his loyalty during this whole thing has been excellent. I think he's going to have a really bright future here. Carnell, that was quite a recruiting process. I thought Brian, everybody did a great job there, but I think he always knew he wanted to be a Buckeye as well. He's got a chance to be an impact player for us. Noah, from down in North Carolina, again, from the jump, there was a couple twists and turns along the way, but he was pretty loyal, and he had a big time season. I think you're really gonna like him and just his personality and makeup. But Brandon, yeah, he from early on, he had a presence about him. He had a leadership early on. His play this season, bringing him all the way to the state championship again after the year before playing quarterback, you could just tell he was just a competitor. And now you see, again, what he did this year. He can do so many things. He can play inside. He can play outside. He's a dynamic player, and like you said, has leadership ability. And during the process, kind of would communicate to the guys in the class, and and these text chains that these guys would talk to each other, and he was a big catalyst for this class.
One last thing, if I can. How much has NIL and all of the other stuff around taken you away from the relationship building throughout the process, and as opposed to just jumping in at the end? And do you feel like that's impacted the way that some of these things went this year?
I think, again, every year, like we talked about, it changes. The dynamics change. But in the end, it comes down to relationships. That's it. And, again, I think our staff did a great job this season. And, the guys that we've signed in this class, I think we have really good relationships with.
Deep right, Matt Barker, 11 in a row.
Yeah, Ryan, with all of the changes, we keep talking about changes in recruiting, how have you, I guess, kind of put more of an emphasis on keeping the Ohio prospects in Ohio as well as the Midwestern guys, and then also you talked the 3 offensive linemen from Ohio that are going to Ohio State, but what about those defensive guys? What do you like about them?
Yeah.
How can they make an impact?
Yeah, I think it's more important than ever to make sure that we have guys from Ohio and that we're evaluating all the guys in Ohio at a high level because, you know, between the transfer portal, the combination with NIL, there's so many things that come with it. And so, you know, families and people from Ohio understand what it means to be a Buckeye more than anybody. And so we've got to do a great job of that and developing young men and making sure even at a young age we identify them and build them up. But yeah, I mean, we got some really good players in the state this year. You know, Jermaine Matthews and Malik, Arvell Reese up in Glenville had an unbelievable season, state champs with coach, and all these guys are going to have an impact. We can feel it. You know, nobody stopped recruiting them. You know, up until the last 48 hours, guys were calling them and recruiting them and talking about all kinds of different things, and they stayed loyal. And that's going to matter because that's probably not going to go away because of the transfer portal. So the loyalty and understanding what it means to be a Buckeye is very, very important, and now more than ever.
Right in front of him, Tony Gervin, Buckeye Huddle.
Right, we hear the numbers thrown out for players on existing teams, and coaches will say, this guy was offered this by, but I'm not gonna say which school.
Right.
What is the downside of a head coach naming another school or collected from that school?
I just think it's just not a road that I certainly want to go down. I just don't think there's any benefit to it. So what do? We just focus on the guys that we sign. And I hear what you're saying, I do. There's a lot of hearsay out there and a lot of people talking about all kinds of different things, and that can be frustrating. But you know, we're gonna focus on our guys right now and just focus on this team.
Is that, I'm not asking you to tell me what other coaches are thinking, but is that the thought process? We're gonna focus on this, but we're still gonna tell people on the radio that it's happening. Like, you want it both ways, but if you're not willing to name names, like, are you getting anything out of it other than just venting?
I think it's a great question. I think it deserves conversation. Probably not right now, but yeah, I mean, I do. I think there's a lot going on out there that needs discussion. Yes, but now's not the time.
Second row right, Bill Landis, Rivals.
Ryan, just quickly, you mentioned the possibility of Chip possibly sticking at running back. What might determine that here over the next couple of weeks and months as you kind of figure that out?
I think once we get done with the season, we'll sit down and have a conversation with Chip. When he first came in, we were playing linebacker, and then because of the way the season played out, running back, he got moved to running back. We haven't sat down and said, okay, what's the plan for the spring? So I think that's the first thing. I'm going to meet with Chip and see what he feels most comfortable doing after kind of doing half and half, I guess.
And if hypothetically, if you were to say that you had 5, you would have 5. That's probably where you want to be at running back.
Exactly.
Jermaine Matthews, what did he show you guys when he came up here for that camp and kind of got that offer?
And then the other thing too is, you know, Xavier has really helped us running back as well, so it gives us a little flexibility there. But Jermaine Matthews, I would say this, I was really impressed right off the bat. I first met him early on in the process, but then when he came to camp, he did a great job at camp. I mean, it was a hot day, it was a competitive day. Coach Knowles was going through the drills, and I mean, he was getting worn slick at one point. I'm like, man, take it easy on this guy, he's gonna pass out. But he kept going and going and going and competing. And then I thought he had a great year this year, just playing really, really hard for Winwoods and Coach Murph, and just was really impressed with his ability to go compete every single day. And this is another guy who went through a lot during the recruiting process and fielded a lot of calls, and a lot of people were blowing up that phone. And he was loyal to the Buckeyes, and I think he's having a great career here.
Far left, Jared Smalley, WCMH.
Ryan is one Central Ohio kid, and it's a name that people know around here. And I'm wondering, no one here gets an opportunity because of who their family is, et cetera. But he earned it, and I'm wondering how.
Yeah.
What was his development like over the last year and a half that made you think that was a good fit?
I'm glad you asked, because I think that ties in what we were talking about before. Will, first off, we know the story with his dad, and so does that matter? Yeah, it does. Actually, you know, it does. But that wasn't gonna be a reason why we're gonna offer him a scholarship. You know, Will has, in the last year, just absolutely poured it on. He's poured on some weight. He's poured on, I think, about 45 pounds, and played with an unbelievable motor. We saw that motor in his junior film, but we sat down and explained to him what the expectation was that he came here. You know, these are the things that we expect out of you to be a Buckeye. And some of those things he and his mom and his family already knew because they had perspective on that, certainly with his dad's background. And so, you know, I guess it was a little bit of a risk early on because we didn't quite know for sure. But you know, he and his mom, quite honestly, they said, you know, is he really good enough to be a Buckeye? And we said, if he does these things, we absolutely think he is. It's a no-brainer now. I mean, the way that he played this season, you talk to anybody who watched him play, he played hard, he played physical with his hair on fire, and just had a lot of production. So he's coming in early, and we think he has a chance to be a very, very good player for us.